DL, you're always a great guest. You get
Thanks, man.
You get the people talking.
Thanks,
Holy
man.
Fuck.
This is the most fun I've had doing this.
All right.
What's wrong with Jim? Are you all right?
We had issues before, so
Really?
no big deal. Yeah.
I've never seen this before. I'm like, what happened?
Quiet Norton.
I've never.
Quiet, unopinionated Norton. Is
I
one of
haven't
his new
seen him this
characters.
quiet since the episode of Power.
It's one of his new.
We had. Well, the issue was DL. If you want to get into it,
Really? What happened?
Yeah, because I like you very much. I knew he'd say that, so I'm kind of glad I did that. But when I had that pilot and you had to cancel, I understood, but you told us an hour before after we had rented the studio, and the day before, my manager was like, "Are you sure you can come tomorrow?" And your people were like, "Yeah." And then an hour before you canceled, and I just never heard from you. So I kind of took that really personally.
I don't blame you. And let me tell you.
And I happen to like you very much. So to me, it was like I didn't want. And I think
Right.
you're a genius. I
Right.
genuinely do.
Right.
But it was one of those things where, like I feel like a dick. Like the guy has no respect for me, obviously, as brilliant as he is. No. But I mean, then I'm like, why would I have him in the show? So Opie knew that, and he knew that I wasn't feeling that. And he's like, well, DL does good radio. And then he said, I'm like, well, I have an issue with it. And he goes, well, why don't you just tap out for an hour? So he was basically saying that I should have left for an hour before, but I'm like, I can't do that because they pay me to be here. And I also wasn't going to be a dick to you, but I just took that very personally.
I tell you what, two things. One is, I got to tell you, I apologize for that. But, and if it happened, I obviously have to say that it was the onus was on me. But I never. I knew that I wasn't able to do it, and I kept trying. I told my representative early that I couldn't do it because we had to do radio. I had to go do my radio show. Now I don't work for a great boss like you do. I have a dick for a boss, so it was a whole thing.
I know the feeling.
That got, and so the end result is that you got screwed over, and obviously I would have never have done it. You know me well enough to know that I would have done that intentionally. I had no idea it got to this level, and I sincerely apologize to you.
Okay, because I had emailed you the script, and I thought maybe he didn't like the script. And
I didn't. I promise you, I loved it. I just couldn't get away.
Okay.
And she should have communicated that, but she didn't. And I had no idea.
But it was just a timing issue, and then I just never heard from you. That was my
and honestly, I assumed it was taken care of a lot earlier. I didn't know you got jammed up like that.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things where, like, when it would come up, like when we would have like guest pitches or whatever, he knew how I felt and Roland, but it wasn't like fuck DL, I hate him. It wasn't like that.
Yes, it was. You said it.
No,
I'm joking. Thank you.
But it was like that. Do you know what I mean? It was like that thing where you just it's almost like if you ask your girl out and she says no. You feel stupid going or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then I just came in this morning and I saw it on the prep sheet.
Right.
And fuck Roland just because he didn't tell me.
Right.
And I know he just does as he's told.
Right.
But, it was like.
I tell you what.
It's not my show. I'm a guest on this show just like you are. So that was our issue before. But I'm actually glad that you did that and just threw it out there.
Well, I also told Jimmy if you guys are, have a relationship, he should have
I had
reached
no
out
idea.
to see
This
what
is that
That's
was
true,
all
but
about.
that you don't actually do that with people. It's like we all have our way of handling
I certainly
this.
have.
No,
I had
okay,
no
understand.
idea.
Good
And
for you.
you know what? When something, if it was all great and everybody was loving what I did, I would take responsibility for that. I can only say this. I assumed that it was communicated early and there was no problem. I should have taken the onus and made sure you were all right. You're a cat I respect and dig immensely. And I would have never, even if I didn't dig somebody, I would have never put him in that situation. And I would have felt exactly how you felt. But I can only tell you as a man that it shouldn't have gone that way. I should have made sure that you were all right and done something to make up for it. And that's all I can ask you for is that you forgive me and that you know that it didn't come from an unintentional place and that you give me an opportunity to make it right for you.
Thanks, man.
That's
That
all I
means a
can
lot.
do.
Thank you.
Listen. And now we'll have sex with a hooker together. No, really, I would have been just like, I was like, wow, this is the first time I ever walked in here. He hadn't said anything. It was
Right.
It's like how my wife never speaks to me for long enough, and I get something wrong. I go, wait.
Yeah.
But it was a weird thing. It was like a part of me, like when he said for me to step out for an hour, I did debate doing that, but then I'm like, and the company
That wasn't me being a dick. That was just a solution to the issue.
Yeah,
'Cause
no, I know.
We've canceled you twice, and I'm like, deal's too good. So we got to try to figure this out.
Yeah, but that was about he knew how. Whatever. We have our own things. I'm not going to argue on there. It's one of those things where. I didn't want to just walk out and be like, and then just go and be resentful. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything during the interview. I'm not going to derail it. You know, I don't know. It's a weird position to be in, to be like, to
is.
want to walk out of your own house. But I mean, you're a guy I genuinely like very, very much.
And I hope you know. Listen,
I know.
I hope you know the same. I can only say this, that I wish that it had been communicated. I can only apologize because it all happened under my watch. But I sincerely would have never done that.
No, I appreciate it, man. I do.
Sincerely.
All right.
And now I can start.
We didn't even promote the book.
We did.
Not really. We got to get it up to 6 or 5.
I gotta beat what's his name? Who, I don't even know who's in front of me.
What's the name of the book again?
It's called Black Man White House on Oral
Right.
History of the Obama Years.
Yeah,
it's,
right
it's
on.
very good. Hey, Jimmy, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I do. I would have done the same thing. Only I'd have walked out. I would have. You could have had a fucking show without me, you son of a bitch.
It's no, I
And I'd have
couldn't
been
do that.
shouting from the outside, "Fuck that guy!"
No, I can't do that. I can't walk.
I
They do
would've-
pay me to be here, and it's I can't just walk out.
Anything else, DL?
No, man. I had
That's
a
it?
blast. And again, Jimmy, I'm sorry. Man.
It's okay.
I'll make it
I
work.
appreciate that. You don't have to. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's
I would
heading-
buy you. I would take you to dinner, but you don't eat anything. So it's I'll send you some radishes or sprouts or whatever.
You did good with a hangover today, my
Man,
friend. That
man,
bourbon, holy
man.
fuck.
That's a mean hangover too.
Oh my god.
That's a mean ass
Oh
hangover.
my god, man! I've never had more fun than just now.
Oh, thanks, buddy. You're a good guest.
Yeah, man.
You
Thank
know
you.
how to do this shit.
Yeah.
Jimmy's heading to Australia and
Why? Why you
Working.
gonna say?
Gigs.
I'm just for a brief trip. To September the 9th, and then September the 11th, I'm going to be in Melbourne and Sydney, my first time in Australia ever. And then Montreal this weekend, and go to my website, and Minneapolis and Pittsburgh, and the new UFC Unfiltered is out today with Tyron Woodley and Jason Ellis, who was excellent. So go to iTunes, leave us comments if you like it. If you don't like it, be honest, we can handle it. Me and my buddy Matt Serra, and I love doing the podcast.
all right, Vic.
I'm still in Kentucky. Comedy off Broadway the first week of August, 3 through 6.
There you go.
So that's my gig.
Thank you to DL Hughley.
Thank you, man. Thank
We'll
you.
see you tomorrow. Were you uncomfortable yesterday?
Yeah, a bit.
Physically, he means.
Yes. Again, a given, but yeah, yesterday was an interesting day.
Why? What happened?
Instead of me and Jimmy being on the spot, let's put you on the spot.
Fine with me.
Eric tell everything.
Let's just make you uncomfortable about it.
You've had better shows.
Oh yeah.
Wow, Eric.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What, Travis? You don't think Eric's assessment of the uncomfortability was good?
I don't think anyone was asking if the quality was.
I think we both realized that yesterday's show was going to be a bust.
Well, that's
We
good.
try to make it work, but
Yeah, we have to meet with
How
John
about-
Wickland today.
I'm not. Well, whatever. I mean, I can meet with Jimmy. I'm not meeting with Don.
Well, that's not what's on the agenda.
Don's going to figure all this out. Why are you laughing so hard, Travis? Why?
things you say.
Why?
You want to meet with Don? He made a special trip to come see you.
Did
He
He
did.
didn't need to. He
Yeah,
means
he's,
well.
he's going to Montreal.
He does mean
Relax.
well. He should just stay on the choo-choo
Yeah, he
and
doesn't
take
need
it all the
to
way
be-
to Montreal. Doesn't need to take a little detour to New York.
Yeah.
Get up to Montreal. You're needed.
You could have done like a phone conference or
Oh
something.
God, what is he doing up there? I know Rich and Bonnie.
He's got Bennington doing a bunch of stuff up there.
And Rich and Bonnie are doing this time slot Friday, I believe, right?
No, they're
Oh, no.
doing it at 12 noon
12 noon.
Eastern and 9 a.m. West Coast.
So Ronnie live on this channel Friday.
No, Ronnie's not. Ronnie's doing
Who's on live Friday?
nobody.
No show.
We have Best of the Week on
Best
Friday
of the
morning.
week, and then
And then Voss and Bonnie live at
Oh, right,
12
'cause-
p.m.
all right, yeah. I was trying to get them to do it earlier, but it made more. That's right. It made more sense to do it a little later because the comics don't like getting up early, especially when they're in Montreal.
Did anybody edit? I know you didn't do it. Did anybody edit
God,
one of
no.
my lines out? I didn't hear it replay. People were saying that on Twitter, but I can't picture anybody going in there and taking a line
Nobody
out.
touched the
I
replay
didn't think so.
yesterday.
I didn't think so.
Well, I mean, there's enough drama, and then people have to fucking make fake drama and lie and just bullshit about just basic facts.
Yeah, I don't think anybody went back in there. I asked Travis, I texted him because I thought maybe for time they edited something and people.
No,
and he goes,
I
no,
did
he said
edit
no.
I did edit for time, but not that segment.
Okay.
But I can give you the explanation of what happened.
Oh, what happened?
It was a technical issue with that computer that we've had issues with in the past.
Okay.
Wait, so the end of the show was cut off?
No, the end of the show wasn't cut off, but there are
And it tends to jump.
Jump
cut.
The computer that we record the show on, that I then take the recording and cut it up and put it into the replay. It's old, and it sometimes the audio will jump for a second.
Why are you winking?
Doing the jerk off motion.
So it appears that that's what happened.
Did it happen more than once?
I don't know because I don't listen back in real time. So
Right.
You know, I don't have that time.
But there was nothing. There was no one. No one went in and edited any of that stuff.
I couldn't.
no, and if I did, I would have done a better edit than that.
I didn't hear the
I listened
edit.
back to it, and it's shit.
For the record, I couldn't even tell you the last time I even asked for an edit. I
Yeah.
couldn't even tell you. And usually it's something to just cover our asses as far as lawsuits go.
If it's a name or something like
Name
that.
or
yeah.
phone number.
I
or
couldn't even
something
tell you the last time I actually called someone and said edit that out of the replay. We do edit a lot for time because
I had to cut 14 minutes yesterday because you guys went so long.
You did go late.
Which 14 minutes?
Well, unfortunately, intern Barbara's first
Oh,
appearance.
intern Barbara was terrific.
Yeah, but I can't cut Mike Ward, and I can't cut the last segment.
I thought she was
I
good
can't cut
though.
the first segment because it's already loaded so that it can start at 11.
But
so
Eric said we had a shitty show, so you're talking about great segments.
I didn't say it was
that you
shitty.
didn't want to edit.
Yeah, hey, look, the operations manager knows better than me, but
Who's that?
Eric.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I think you should call him the operation guy because he looks like him. Remember the game?
It's not nice. Eric has better hair.
Yeah, no. All right. I almost went into a food joke.
So
Are you tired?
That's what
Very.
happened.
I'm sleepy. Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
but nobody edited anything out.
Okay, I didn't think so. I just saw it. I'm like, that didn't make sense. That it would be one. That just didn't make sense.
I'm sure people won't believe that explanation, but that's what happened.
what?
No, I mean that. Honestly, I'll say that too. And I was on the other end of it. I'm the one who said it, and I don't believe it was edited out.
No.
Right.
I texted you. You said no, and that was it.
Yeah, I said, leave me alone.
Yeah, you did. That was
I'm
a
a
lot.
Radiohead.
Because I kept saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Actually, that's not how you started the conversation.
I mean,
You started the conversation just by texting. What's that?
no, so it's Chip.
Yeah, you always start with Chip.
Sorry, can't help it.
You're not sorry.
I will say that I didn't. I wasn't blindsiding you yesterday. I know things were a little fucked up, but I really thought you had read the email the day before, and that it would give enough time to maybe talk about that issue again. And then you came in here and saw literally at 6:55 that he was scheduled, and I could totally see where that would piss you the fuck off. But I thought you got the email the day before,
No,
because I would have certainly stated my case again.
I mean, to me, it was like this. It was like, and it feels weird to say this now because I genuinely believe when DL said he was sorry, that was it for me. I believed him, and it was squashed because look, he's not afraid to tell Meg and Kelly to shut up. I know he's not afraid to disagree with me.
Right.
So if he felt, hey man, I did it right, fuck you, I think he would have expressed that in some way.
Right.
So it feels weird now to go back and get that mindset of when I was really annoyed at him. But it was like we all have our very few. We've compromised for each other before. We all compromise at times. You'll take a guy you don't really want. I'll take a guy I don't really want.
Thanks for saying that. I got to interrupt for a second because it drives me nuts because people think it's a one way street. There's plenty of times it's a tug of war. Jimmy will suggest people, and I'm like, ugh. And I end up taking them, or we take them. Sorry. And then I tell Jimmy after the show sometimes, I'm like, I'm so glad you talked me into that. That ended up good. And then there have absolutely been other times where I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fucking talk to this guy whatsoever. But, I try to play my part, whatever, and get through it. It's just because we have different interests as far as guests go and whatnot. I'm sorry to interrupt,
But no,
that's a huge point because people think it's just, it's Opie rules meaning rules, and that's it. And that's just not true.
But the compromises we've given, again, when I say compromises, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, you want that guy, I want that guy, and it works that way. For me, at that time, he was, and Roland knew this too, he was a definite no.
Right.
And I said to Roland, and I had expressed to you, look, man, for me, this is a guy I just do not want come. I knew eventually I would squash it with him because it wasn't a visceral hatred. I was just pissed about the way that thing was handled. And I'm like, the guy never texted me, so he obviously doesn't give a fuck about me. So like, why would I help him promote? That was basically it.
And I was trying to push you just to have a conversation with him, you know.
Maybe, but I mean, it was one of those things where for me it was a hard no, and this is why I don't want anything to do with Roland, because I know that he does as he's told. I know that Roland has a job to do, and he's good at it. But I also know that he just keeps coming back going, yell into command, yell into command. I know how he does it. He doesn't give a fuck that for me it was a hard no.
Right.
So
And we granted you that a couple times, just saying, you know, all right, it's a no, and that was a little frustrating to me just from where I sit, because I know he does great radio and with everything going on politically. And then my intention was just to throw it out there again, say yes, you read the email, and then, you know, maybe I should have reached out to you, you know, to tell you, but I just assumed you would have read the email.
Or Roland, who had been just ignoring, he said his phone was a little wonky, maybe it was, but I've been texting him.
Roland's phone is really
Okay, fair enough.
Why is his phone fucked
He
up?
keeps
dropping it.
He keeps dropping it, and he'll sit in here. Someone will be calling him, and he can't answer the phone, and he's just hitting his phone. He's just punching his
Yeah, I
phone.
was just texting. Okay,
The other
okay.
day it was ghost texting too. The keypad was just moving by itself.
Yeah, I did buy it when he said that, but then it was like, you know, I'm and I have to ask. I feel like I have to ask permission. Like I come in, I want this porn girl. It's not that I love the porn girl. Lainey texted me, and I'm like, yeah, why not? We haven't had one in a while. I like that element sometimes.
Right.
And then I have to find out if my wish has been granted.
Right.
And again, when I say you're the boss, it wasn't. I know that sounds like it's a big fuck you, but it really wasn't. When I said take my, that was not open by people with kind of saying it was you. That was me who said
I had nothing to
take
do with
my
that.
name off the social media.
Right.
It sounds like it was a big like fuck you, but it really wasn't. It's not my show. I'm here every day. I get well paid to be here. I'm not saying that they don't treat me. But the bottom line is,
But you're not a guest here. That was silly.
I'm a little bit more than that, because when I asked you, like, hey man, I don't want him in here, you suggested to me, well, why don't you tap out for an hour?
Well, but that wasn't being a dick to you, because let me just tell you where I'm coming from. Because at that point, I'm like, he's on his way. Basically, I don't want to certainly put you in an uncomfortable spot. So I'm like, all right, it's 9:20. Maybe a tap out for an hour. We don't have to tell him why. And I have absolutely done that in the past for me personally. There's been times, especially when it was me, you, and Ant, that I would lose on a guest or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to talk to this person, and I would leave early. And you know, I'd have an excuse that didn't make anyone uncomfortable, like the guest or whatnot. So it's something that I know I have done personally. So it wasn't like me saying, "Hey, Jimmy, if you don't like it, why don't you fucking get out of here?" That wasn't my intention. It was truly not to put you in a uncomfortable position, right or wrong. That's where that all comes from.
The only difference is in those circumstances, there are times where we don't want to talk to somebody, but in those circumstances, it was never a guy who you had said, this for me is a hard no. This is an absolute no because of something personal that happened, and then they were booked anyway, and there was nothing you could do about it. People thought I was being a baby. Like, to me, if I had sat on it the whole show and not mentioned it until 2 minutes before he's coming down the hall, that's a different set of circumstances. But I just didn't see the email. I checked the news email. It didn't come. I rechecked the email with the stories in it. It wasn't.
Right.
It was in a prior email,
Yeah, it was
which
the
I hadn't
one
seen.
that I usually
Yeah, I just hadn't seen it.
It's Travis's main email.
Just hadn't seen it. I always check the news one. That's the one I get with our stories.
It's fine. No one reads it. I know.
But I understand. Yeah.
Because
So to me, I found out when I came in, and I mentioned it as soon as I came in, and then I said something to Roland, and he's like, "I'm just doing what I'm told." And then he sends me an email that says, "Craig Gass is a yes," because I'd asked for Craig, and the porn girl's a no, and he puts in capital letters.
Well, that didn't. I asked Roland about the porn girl. I'm like, anything special there? It wasn't like I just blindly said no, because I understand how a porn girl could certainly still work on the radio. I mean, as I sit here today, it's not my thing. I feel like we don't get a lot out of them these days, and I haven't changed my tune because I'm married or any of that shit. It has nothing to do with that. I just I don't get excited about it. I'm just like, But it wasn't like I just said no. I did ask Roland. He could back me up. I'm like, well, is there anything special here? What is she promoting? What is this? And he didn't really give me anything of substance. So I'm like, all right, it's a no. And that wasn't a fuck you to you. I promise.
No,
you
I know,
that.
but the reality is, I still have to ask permission. And again, it is what it is. I don't, it is your show, and again, that's not a big like, oh my God, life stinks. But it is what it is. It's when I have to say, hey, I want this person, and hope that you say okay. Like that you'll give me the courtesy of mentioning who's coming in,
right,
or saying, I never know what comics are coming and going.
Right.
I finally told Roland,
but all that's on the email.
No, meaning, but I'm never consulted on it. It's never like, hey man, what do you think about this?
Well, we've taken a lot of guys that you've wanted. Absolutely.
No,
but,
I mean on a daily basis. Like we always have another guy in here.
Well, but you also tapped out relatively recently, saying you don't want to be involved with the whole.
Because I had requested something and was told, no, leave it.
Right, but then there have been requests that we have taken for you. So
yes.
I mean, I don't have a scorecard. I'm not trying to go, well, I don't know. I just try to get the best show possible going in front of our eyes every day. That's all. And I'm absolutely going to be wrong. Like I said earlier, there have been guests. I don't really want to start naming names, but there's been guests where I'm like, man, no, I don't want that. And then you will plead your case or whatever, however you want to say it. And then also I'm like, all right, we'll give it a shot. And then, we've walked out of here and I go, you know what? I'm so glad you talked me into that. So it's a lot of that going on all the time. It's not that we're purposely blowing off your request for guests. I promise you that.
I know. But just the fact that I have to make requests, again, that is the nature of it. And I do accept that. I'm not sitting here screaming and yelling about it, but I will not have my name on. And this is where Don was wrong. I wasn't mad at Don yesterday for saying that. Don wasn't being a dick, dude. He was just trying. I don't want fighting. But he's like, dude, it's been this way for a long time. And I'm like, I know. But yesterday, that was one of those examples of where I wanted something and I just can't. It's not going to happen. And I don't have the power to make it happen. And if I'm in a situation where I don't have the power to make something happen,
right,
at 48 years old, and I'm a fairly established guy, at least in stand-up, then I don't want my name on it.
Right.
I didn't say take Opie's name off it. Then Don would have a point. If I said, dude, just keep my name on there. But I was like, dude, I just back out.
Right.
I back out. I know it came at a moment of annoyance or anger, but the reality is that's the way it should be. And I even told Paul, man, I'm like, dude, just find a picture. Don't say Opie Radio because I don't want people to confuse it with his personal account. I was like, find a picture that he's cool with. Take my photo off. Find one he's comfortable with. It wasn't like, fucking put anything up. It just was, I'm out.
Right.
And the fact that Roland, and again, I know Roland has a job to do, but the fact that Roland knows this, I feel a certain way, and is still going, what about this one? What about this one? Knowing that I don't want the guy in there, that to me is my issue with him. Right. I know what he's doing. It's not like he's just throwing names out there. He's not giving guys I want the same enthusiasm as guys who you want, who will be pretty much booked automatically.
I don't know about that, to be honest with you. No, to be honest with you. And I can only speak for myself. I mean, I pushed the DL again because I'm like, man, I in a selfish way, I know he does great radio, so I threw it back out there, hoping that maybe this time, something will shake loose.
I know, but if we had sat one day afterwards and said, look, I know you're having an issue with DL. Are you still feeling the same way? Have you talked to him? Because I do like him, but we're rolling it relayed that. It sounds corny and boyfriend girlfriendish, but if someone said like, "Hey man, you're here every day. You're the priority. Do you want to maybe revisit this with him?" That would have been different. But he was basically booked. It was not a Jim, what do you think?
Right.
It was, here it is. And if I had responded to the email, maybe it could have been discussed. And that to me is, again, it is what it is.
I think it would have been discussed. I mean, you should absolutely not have found out, as you walk in here. That's obviously crazy. It's like, what the fuck did you just put me in a really shitty position? And that's why I said, maybe just leave it an hour early and then maybe we could discuss this again.
I thought of it and I was able to do that, but then I'm like, no, I'm not walking out of my own gig. This is my job. I'm paid to be here. And I was quiet for the hour and I was annoyed. But I'm not stupid. I know DL's a brilliant guy. And I really meant what I said yesterday. The guy's, I think, a prolific, fucking very underrated stand-up. So when he's talking about race for an hour, I know that it's compelling. And there was a few times I wanted to jump in, but but I didn't want to jump in from a place of I'm annoyed at this guy and I'm going to be argumentative.
Right.
Like it was like it was going okay and there was nothing for me to do. And at the end, when he said, I didn't think he even noticed I was. I literally didn't, because he's just kind of doing his thing. I didn't think he would pay any attention to it. I would have said goodbye to him, and that would have been it. But when he asked and I said we had issues, I didn't say you had issues or oh my Opie's a fucking piece of shit. I said we had issues.
Yeah, it sounded a little weird, so I had to jump in. I felt like I felt like I was being thrown under the bus a little bit. I'm like,
I said we had issues.
Well, the issue is, now you got to tell them what the issue is.
Yeah, but we had issues, and I was fine telling him. I mean, I had no issue, no problem telling him as soon as you said that. Yeah, this is what it was.
It was squashed pretty quickly. I mean, that's not the point here. I understand that, but in the end, it was squashed pretty quickly because you were the one who introduced me to the guy, and we're actually friends. I like the guy a lot. We met him in Washington, and it was all because of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know.
You were there, and he was there at the same time. I think he was outside a hotel or something, and he was cool, and we all just hit it off. So
and what it came down to with him, he's a very busy guy, and I do know that. It's a weird thing though. Like he's a guy I respect a lot, and I feel like we've had him on the show many times, and we've always promoted everything he's wanted to do, and happily because he's funny on the show. And then I have this one thing I'm doing, and he can't make it, and that's okay. But then when I didn't hear from him, I'm like, well, Jesus Christ, man, I'm a fucking asshole.
Right.
There's nothing worse than thinking you respect a guy who doesn't fucking feel the same. You feel like a dick.
Right, of
that's
course.
all. But I believed him, and it's squashed. I like the guy very much, and I'm happy that it was squashed.
It seems like he's pretty genuine.
If he would tell Megyn Kelly to pretty much go fuck herself on Fox Live, I don't think that he wouldn't do the same to me. Right. I'm under no illusions. He's not afraid of me. So I believed it. If he said he was sorry, he was, and that was it.
Well, I'm certainly sorry. I don't want you to think I completely blindsided you. It was more like trying to shake it loose again. And I thought, if you got the info day before, that would maybe get the conversation going again. And if you. It's easy to say this now, but if you got the email and texted me and said, no way, it's still a no, I would not have booked them. I hope you know that.
I would have just responded and said I prefer not to have them in.
But I also got lazy because I had a long weekend, so maybe I should have reached out. I threw it out there, but I really thought by the time you came in here, you knew he would have, he was booked. That's I can only say the truth. That's truly what I thought.
Okay.
I wasn't blindsiding you with fuck you, we're taking him today and tough shit, get over this. And my suggestion of you tapping out was just, that's all it was. Like, hey, if you're that uncomfortable, we're in a weird spot now. Maybe you leave it. It hasn't been uncommon that we leave early. So.
No, I know. I would have just thought that being here with my name on the thing, that I was the priority over any guest. And if it was something that, again, if it was just me going, look, this guy's boring, I don't like him. Hey man, if you don't want to, but if it was me having a personal issue with somebody, and it was something that had like a legitimate source for me, that the thing would have been, hey man, if you're that uncomfortable, we won't have him in.
Yeah.
And that wasn't given that option. And then when I talk to Roland about it, because I know what he's doing, I know how he does it. Again, part of it's his job, and part of it's not giving a fuck if I'm happy with the guest or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he's good at his job. He should have the job he has, but.
And that was a double whammy yesterday because then the porn girl was a no too. So
yeah, so I have to ask permission.
That wasn't personal, and no.
That is what it is. It's not even. I'm not even saying that in an aggressive way. But if I have to ask, and I have to get approval, then it's permission.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, our personal tastes are different. That's all. It's not like I'm purposely trying to fuck you over.
No, I didn't think it was that. I mean, I didn't think it was an attack on me.
Right.
When you said no to a porn girl.
I mean, I'm in a shitty spot. I got to make a lot of tough decisions every fucking day with this, and it's like, where I come from. I'm like, all right, I don't really think the porn girl's going to work on the show right now. So.
I think our audience, considering where we came from, and we have no women in here, and we have almost no sexual at all. Like we used to do cherry darts,
I know.
And there's never. Again, I know that shock jockery is one thing, but we can't. It's like if after all these years, we can't just talk to a sexy girl about fucking and keep that interesting. Then I don't know what male demo we think we're talking to.
I don't. I think in recent years that that wasn't interesting radio. I'm trying to think of one that was in recent years. It just seems like
I think the
I don't know
Kendra,
if
the masturbator in the library was great.
That was a very good one. Yes.
I think a lot of the
100%
girls
right.
Lainey brings are troopers. I think the problem is that we would expect them to take off their tits and just shake them, and if they didn't do that, we couldn't get anything out of them.
Right.
And I think we're just talking to them about sex or just talking about stuff. Had we interviewed them and just been like genuinely interested in sexual stuff with them or talking to them, you get answers because the tits are for us.
Right.
I like seeing tits. I enjoy them.
Well, you're not
as I
gonna get-
glance to my left.
You're not going to get an argument here.
Sorry, Archie.
I did think of flashing you.
But you know what I mean? But the tits are more for us. So when a girl's not showing her pussy, that's more our loss. The listeners want to hear stuff. So
Right.
Whatever. And our guest is here.
I'm certainly not opposed to it, but I'm not. It's not my number one thing when I think about putting a radio show together.
No, mine
That's
either.
all.
I mean, look, but I don't. It's Stunt Brain, and I love Stunt Brain. I love him. He came to see me in Delaware. I like Mike very much, but he calls in all the time, and there's all these things that I have no say in. So
No, the Stump Brain's a very good example. You didn't want him last week.
it wasn't that I don't want Stunt Brain. I really like the guy, but I just didn't want him, for an hour.
No, but you made it clear that you'd rather not have him on the show, and that's a good example because that's a guy I would absolutely like on the show, and I took a a little backseat. I'm not going to make this dramatic, but a little backseat last week because I would have absolutely wanted him on last week when the Republican National Convention was going on.
But you could have, and you knew you could have. You just chose not to.
No.
If you wanted to, you could have.
No, I kind of. I mean,
I can't override you.
yeah, but I mean, however, I kind of let you have that one in a way because that's how this does work in the end. It's
Yes.
like, all right, Jimmy doesn't want him on. I no, Jimmy, I really wanted him on. I have to say that.
I
I
know.
really wanted him on, especially with the conventions going on. But I felt your energy on that one on that particular day, and I did decide to pass on that. No, that was truly for you. I really would have wanted him on the show last week.
If we should bring John, but if we're at a place where we're just like we'd rather do serious political commentary,
That's
other
not
than, no, in general,
Yeah.
or talk to a hot girl about something. Again, if hot girls in every 2 days is boring, but literally it's been months and months and months
Right.
since we've had porn people in here, and it's like. I don't know. I think there's people who listen to our show who still enjoy them once in a while. I mean, there's a difference between this and 1992, where the girl showed her boobs.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't think that we're that different as men. That
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said. I think it could work too. Sometimes it certainly can. And as far as the political stuff goes, God, I hope we're trying to get jokes on when Stump Brain's on. I'm always aware of that. Like, let's try to get some laughs in between this serious political discussion.
you should bring him in, Don. We should bring the guest in. I feel bad. I just don't want to leave the guy out there. It's already 10 o'clock.
John Cho.
Oh, he's supposed to be 10. He's early. I didn't realize he was early.
Yes.
Okay.